So good morning everybody. Thank you for coming this morning, virtually of course. Right, so let's get started with our Pilates. We're going to come into our set position as always, so perfect posture to begin with. We want the heels just underneath the hips, the knees soft and relaxed, and as you breathe in, you're going to breathe lots of length up into your spine. Gently tuck in the chin so your eye gaze is forward. And you want to bring a gentle squeeze into the shoulder blades, but not into a military posture. Just the awareness of that connection between your shoulder blades. So keeping from your ribs and above, nice and still. We're going to come into our pelvic tilts. With a breath in, there's just a little lift of your tailbone, so your lower back arches. And as you breathe out, you're then tucking your tailbone under, so your lower back almost flattens. Now you might find it really easy to go into a big curve in your lower back. And if that's the case, I want you to work on more tucking under your bottom, flattening and stretching your lower back. Now men particularly tend to find it easier to go into a flat back. So if you feel that you're naturally a flat back, then try and encourage the curve into your back more. So it's just starting to be aware of what your posture is and how to improve it. So again, if you find that curve easy, find a stretch, tuck under your tailbone. Feel like you're lengthening into your lower back. Try and keep the stillness from the ribs and above. Breathing out through the mouth as you tuck, and then a breath in through the nose as you come into your arch. We're going to settle in the centre. So your tailbone is slightly tucked, your hip bones are facing forward, and you create what we call a square here between our ribs and our hips. And that's when the abdominals are connected and holding that space nice and still. Now as we breathe in, we're going to lift the shoulders and roll the shoulders back and down. And as you lift your shoulders, you're trying to maintain that same distance here. If when you lift your shoulders, your rib cage lifts, then we've lost the stability, we've lost a little connection to our core. So just again, being aware of what's staying still and what's moving. And enjoy the nice stretch across the top of your shoulders, just releasing a little bit of tension, if you happen to have any. Mine's releasing quite quickly. And as you roll the shoulders back and down this time, we're going to hold them there. We're going to come into our sways. So, we're keeping our posture and our set position. We're just going to take a little sway forward, keeping the heels on the ground. And then a little sway back, keeping the balls of your feet on the ground. You're trying not to collapse through your ribs. As you sway back, you're trying to make sure the ribs don't flare. So your ear, your shoulder, your hip, your knee and your ankle stay in that nice straight line all the way through. You have a connection between your shoulder blades. You're going to maintain that connection and let both arms float to shoulder height. And then a breath in and hands come just behind the hips. Again, keeping the feet flat. Keeping the connection between the shoulders. And maintaining your square. So you're still always lengthening right up through the neck, all the way to the crown of your head. Now when you sway forward, can you be aware that you're not gripping with your toes? Just let the weight come onto the balls of your feet. You might not go quite as far, but you'll feel the difference in your tummy muscles. Now if you can, close your eyes, still keeping the feet flat so the movement comes through the ankles. Try not to grip with your toes as you come forward. And using the out breath as you sway forwards. And then the in breath as you sway back. Just give me one more. And then your last one here. Hands stay by your thighs, your shoulders roll back. And let's just ease into a few side bends. So we're looking for a little bit of movement, a little bit of mobility through our spine. And as we're moving through the spine, we're looking for stability through the hips. Stillness through the knees, and your weight staying evenly placed through both feet. So if you feel the hips start to rock from side to side, you might want to make that movement a little bit smaller. And again, you're keeping the chin nodded in, and you're letting your ear come towards your shoulder. Then if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can bring your hands to your head, shoulder blades draw back, and it's your elbow coming towards the outside of your hip. Again, there's no sway through the hips. So if you feel your hips are having to sway, just make the movement a little bit smaller. We're trying to bring as much movement into the spine first of all as we can. And let's do one more to each side. So from here, we're going to bring the hands back down towards the thighs. We're going to roll the shoulders back and we're going to step into our tandem stance. Now, tandem stance is about working for our balance. If you feel the feet directly in front of each other is too wobbly, you can just take your foot a little bit wider. But not in a position where you feel like you could stand there all day, where you still feel quite challenged. If you've got the feet narrow, your big toes touching the centre of the heel and both knees are soft, and you're going to come into your neutral spine. Once you've had a wobble and a shake, and you've settled in the middle, then you're going to float the arms forward and keep the eye gaze forward here. Your right elbow pulls back. Turn your head and open the arm, and then close into the middle. Now your left elbow slides back, then it opens as your head turns, and then we ease back into the centre. So it's a breath in through your nose, and then out through your mouth. I'm glad I've got the wall behind me to hold on to. As you open the arm, just feel the openness come across the shoulder, across the chest, and feel your shoulder blade just gently sliding in towards the spine. Now, if you find it a little bit too much, you've got two options. You can take your feet a little bit wider and still continue with the arm movement, or you can take your feet narrow and just come into bow and arrow arms, where the elbow just slides back past the rib. Your hips are nice and square to the front, and your shoulder blades still gently drawing down. Your last one here, and then float both hands down and just change feet. So you're going to bring your left foot in front of your right, either toe touching heel or a little bit wider. We're going to come into our neutral spine, and we're going to do dumb waiter on this side. So your palms are going to be facing upwards. Your elbows are tucked in by your shoulders, and your ribs and hips, you've still got your square. Now from here, without flaring your ribs, you're just going to push the fingers towards the back of the room. And what I want you to do, as you open the arms for your dumb waiter, just feel like your shoulder blades slide together. Now when you close your arms, try and keep your shoulder blades connected. And that's going to stop the ribs flaring as you go back and then collapsing as you come forward. So there should be no other part of your body moving. Again, breathing out through the mouth as you push the thumbs to the back. And then let's start to turn the head. You're going to turn your head to the right, into the centre, and then over to the left. Now making sure both knees are staying soft and your weight's even in both feet. So we're just bringing a little release through the front of the shoulders and starting to find those stability muscles in the back. This is your last one here. And then you can rest in the centre and step your feet in. So let's come to our foot pedals, hands on your hip bones. And what we're looking for is the stability of our pelvis and not letting the hips rock. So we need our neutral position with our tailbone tucking under. You feel you've got that square set again between your ribs and your hips. Just place your hands on your hip bones. Starting with your right heel, it just lifts, so you're on the ball of your foot. And then you're going to simply alternate from one foot to the other. Now you want to make sure your knees push forward, so they're directly in line with your toes. And your weight comes onto the ball of your foot, not onto your outer toes. If the weight starts going to your outer toes, the knee will also start diverting off to the side. So you have to focus on really pressing the knee forward. Now don't look out the knees, so as you come down with the foot, the knees are staying soft. You're keeping the tailbone tucked under, and you should feel the hips are staying nice and level. Okay, we're going to add in the arms next. So the next time your right foot lifts, stay with your right foot lifted, and then bring both arms to shoulder height. Pull the shoulder blades down, draw the abdominals in, then lift your left arm and lower your right. We alternate arms and legs. So you're breathing in and then out to land, in to lift and out to lower. You're pressing through the balls of your feet. You're aware that your ribs don't flare as you lift the arms. And you're trying to keep your eye gaze forward, so it's keeping the back of your neck nice and long. And then slow it right down. See how slowly you can move. Breathing in through the nose and out to lower. Now feel like each time you lift your heel, you're pulling the crown of your head up to the ceiling. And when you lower your heel, you want to feel like the crown of your head stays drawn upwards towards the ceiling. Once more on each side without wobbling. And perfect. We're going to rest both feet and both arms down. And now you've got that movement, we're going to add it to our squats. But let's get the squats first. So your feet just outside your hip sockets, ideally all 10 toes pointing forwards. If you need to, you can slightly turn your toes outwards. Most important thing, your knees are able to track in line with your toes. So we're going to find our neutral position. Gently corkscrew your heels into the floor. So you feel like your knees gently press out to your little toes, and you should feel more connection then to your outer thighs. And that's what we're going to try and maintain. So once we're in our neutral position, we're just going to breathe in, sit the hips back, float the arms forward, and then pushing through the heels, hips back under shoulders. So let's just do a few squats first. Now you may feel your knees want to roll in a little at the bottom of your squat. So I want you to glance down this time. Check your knees are in line with your toes, and your big toe should stay on the inside of your knees. Again, using the in-breath as you sit back into your hips, and the out-breath as you rise. Let's do one more, and then let's add in those scissor arms. So at the bottom, you're going to hold your neutral spine. You're going to let one arm lift and one arm lower, alternating the arms, back in line with the shoulders, and then driving your hips forward. It's the in-breath, out-breath, in, out, in, and then breathe out to rise. So you feel that when you use your breath, you actually have to slow your movements down and create a lot more control. Press evenly through both heels when you rise. Sometimes we favour our stronger side. So if you feel that you naturally push through your right foot more, put a little bit more pressure through your left heel, and then drive both heels and squeeze your bottom. Now as the arms are moving, we're going to keep a nice strong core, so there's no movement coming through the spine. And then you're ready to add in the heels. So as you lift your right arm, you can lift your left heel, place it down, and then again we change arms and heels, and then push up to the centre. If you find the arms and the feet together too much, you can just bring both arms to shoulder line and have a go with the foot pedals. When we're working with our foot pedals, we're trying to make sure the hips don't move. So you're just peeling the heel off the ground, keeping the tailbone tucked under. And if you're working with the arms as well, a little bit more work for your core to keep everything nice and centred, everything nice and still. Let's have two more. And really be aware that every time you rise, you're coming back into a strong, set posture. And then you're almost set and ready to go straight back into your next move. And then with your last one here, just rising up and giving your legs a bit of shake. Okay, let's have a little bit more movement with our squats. We're going to come into single leg squats, and we're going to bring our right foot forward. Now, when we bring our right foot forward, you just want to slide your foot forward and rest just lightly on the ball of your foot. You're back into set position, so your feet are narrow, hips are nice and square, and draw the shoulders back and down. Hands by your thighs. We're going to breathe in, double arm float, and then breathe out, push through your left heel. You want to feel your hips move back first. You'll keep the back long and your tailbone tucked, and then you're pressing down into the heel and bringing the hips back under the shoulders. Again, resetting your posture each time. Think about the length into the back of the neck. Remember that little connection between the shoulder blades, not military, but just aware, and trying to keep that awareness as the arms float forward so it stops the shoulders coming forward of the ears. Now let's hold at the bottom. Each arm gently opens. Your right arm, you can turn the head into the centre then your left arm, and then push through the heel and rise. Your option, you can just work with one arm, then you can come back into the centre and rise, or you can stay down and do the other arm. You might feel a little bit more wobble in your left leg. Keep gently pressing the knee outwards towards the little toe. Gentle tuck under with the bottom. And let's do 2 more. If you want to, you can hover your right foot off the ground. Means you have to work a little bit harder, or you just wobble a little bit more as you turn. I'm doing both. And push through the heel. Let's do that once more. Can you take the hips just a tiny bit further back? Still sliding with the shoulder blade. And then again, nice strong push through the heel and step in. You might want to shake out your left leg. Then we're going to come straight into our right leg. So again, you're in set position, the feet are in the narrow set position, and your left foot's forward. Lightly resting on the toe. Find your neutral, reset the shoulders, and when you're ready, move with the hips. So your hips go back as if you're going to sit into a chair, but it's only wishful thinking, and then push through the heel. So if you think about what happens when your hips move back, this big muscle here stretches. And then as you come forward, that muscle contracts and drives the hips back under the shoulders. So let's start to squeeze the bottom to initiate the movement back. Squeeze your bottom now, push forward with the hips. And then again, breathing in to lower and out on the way back up. We can add in the arm movements at the bottom. You can just work with one arm, then you can rise here, or you can stay down and do the other arm. It's a little bit easier to keep your eye gaze forward. It's a little bit more challenging to turn your head. Try not to hold tension in your shoulders. Keep your shoulders relaxed. It's not a day for tension today. Tension was yesterday, it's all gone. Now feel your chest open. Feel the weight in the heel and push the heel into the floor and squeeze the bottom to drive the hips forward. Now if you want to, for your last 2, we've got 2 left after this, you can hover your left foot off the floor. So if you want to from here, just keep the foot an inch off the ground. Don't lift the leg as you sit back. Keep it low. Keep the tailbone tucked under. So again, you've got to keep your core nice and tight here. So as you're moving, everything else staying strong. Bottom's starting to get a wee bit warmer. And then as you finish your last one, push the heel into the floor and step back in. Give your legs a shake. Time for a lie down, I think. Let's come down onto the floor. We're going to come into a box position to begin with. Now, if you do have any issues on your knees and you find it difficult to kneel, feel free just to come all the way to the floor and just work with the leg lifts and the leg movements. If you're okay on your hands and knees, you're going to have your hands directly below your shoulders and almost spread your fingers and touch your thumbs, so that should put you the perfect shoulder width distance. Knees, again, just under the hips, and I want you to bring your weight forward into your hands. So your nose, maybe your chin, just past your fingertips, and relax the elbows. Now you want to be in a position where you've got a nice long back, so you're going to gently draw the belly button up to the spine. And again, it's almost that sensation of gently tucking under your tailbone and lengthening the back here. Now all I want you to do to begin with is allow your chest to sink to the floor. Then push yourself away from the floor. Easy. Breathe in, sink, and then breathe out, push away. Don't bend the elbows, just let your chest drop down. And as you push back up, we start to work into the stabilising muscles around the shoulders. Now this time as you push up, I want you to feel that you're still pushing yourself away from the ground while keeping the elbows soft. And then we're going to hold this position and come into our legs. So let's start with our right leg. Your big toe slides back. You're trying to get your weight even in both hands and you're going to hold. Keep the leg straight and lift the leg just in line with the hip, toe to the floor, and then drag the knee back into the middle. Changing legs. So we're going to breathe in to extend. Breathe out with a lift, breath into lower, and breathe out to centre. So try and work really, really smoothly. So again, we're thinking about the length of the spine, the stability of our shoulders, and just be aware that your head hasn't dropped. So I want to keep the ears in line with the shoulders, and making sure the knees come hip distance apart each time. Now a little bit more challenging, get your chin past your fingertips, and then go again with the leg. And as your leg lifts, try and be aware that you're not allowing your back to arch. Now, if you're tight with your hip flexors, when you take the leg back and lift it, your lower back will want to arch. So again, have that awareness of what's happening through your back. And if you can only lift your leg to here, before the hip flexors pull you forward, then just lift the leg to here. Because tomorrow or the day after, you'll get it a little bit higher and the hip flexor will stop pulling you forward because your core muscles will get stronger to hold the spine still. Now the next time you come back with your right leg, we're going to hold the right leg out straight and we're going to lift it in line with the hip. You're going to do a little hamstring curl here. You're keeping the front of your thigh parallel to the ground. You're going to point your toes as you extend your leg. And again, if your leg has to be a little bit lower, that's fine. It's more important to keep the neutral position through the back. Keep pressing both hands into the ground so you're nice and strong through your shoulders. We could have a press up with the hamstring curl. We'll save that for advanced Pilates on Thursday night. Or Wednesday night even. Right, let's do 2 more here. And I've got one last little movement. If you need to rest off your hands, do feel free to sit back. We're going to bring the knee in, and then you're going to push out and up to the ceiling. Keeping the back as still as possible, breathing in, and then breathing out to push it up. So the knee's fixed at 90 degrees. You're almost trying to stamp the foot on the ceiling. So it's getting lots of movement through the hips, but again, keeping lots of stability through our core. Let's give it 2 more. And then rest. Knees down, sit back onto your heels. Your wrists will definitely want a release. If you do struggle on your wrists, and sometimes it's just purely because of the angle when the hand's flat, you can always, and just have a little towel to hand, a little hand towel, a bath towel. And what you do is once that's rolled, and you place your hands on the towel, it reduces the intensity of that angle. We're not going to go straight into the other leg just yet. We're going to come down to the floor and give your wrists a rest. So come all the way down to the ground. You're going to bring both hands forward and your head gets to rest. Your shoulder blades draw back and your chin is nodded in. Now in this prone position, I want you to draw your belly button softly away from your mat, as if you're holding it up towards your spine very lightly. Both legs are straight, and we're going to start with our right leg. We're going to lift the kneecap off the floor and then lift a straight leg. Then we're going to relax the leg down and release the knee. So your left leg, knee lifts first, then you lift the straight leg and then relax the foot and then the knee. So just alternate legs. Think about your hips, they don't want to be rocking from side to side. So it's pretty much the same when we did the foot pedals earlier. As much as we're working through the legs, we're thinking about the stability of the pelvis and the muscles we're using to hold the pelvis still. Have that feeling that your tailbone's drawing back towards your heels. Feel that your belly button's softly lifting up away from the back. And try not to let the hips rock. Then you can see if you can squeeze the leg a little bit higher. And again, if you're tight with your hip flexors, you'll feel the lower back wants to arch more and the belly wants to press into the ground. So what you're trying to do is lift the leg as high as you can without changing the position of your spine. You might feel that just straightening your leg is hard enough and stopping the back arching. So lifting the leg may really force the back down. So again, don't go as far. Listen to what's happening to your body. Be really aware of what's staying still. And use the out breath each time with the lift. And then the in breath as you lower. Okay, this is your last one here. And then we're going to bring our hands just down by our ears. Your elbows in by your ribs. We're going to roll the shoulders back. And what I'd like you to do now is let your heels roll outwards. So that's going to stop us using our bottom as easily. So the shoulders are drawn back. You've got lots of space here between the neck, the ears and the shoulders, sorry. We're going to breathe in, keeping a neutral spine. We're going to breathe out and start to peel the breastbone away from the floor. But you're going to try and keep your neutral spine. And a breath in as we ease down. Now it's quite easy just to lift the head and look forward. So I want to keep the length in the back of the neck. Feel the shoulder blades drawing down to the back of the ribs. Feel that when you're lifting, you're just lifting as high as you can without tensing through your bottom. And you'll feel how that works completely different muscles through the upper back and just into your mid back. You should not feel this in your lower back. If you're feeling in your lower back, your belly might collapse back into the ground. So you might have to draw the tailbone back again and lift the belly button up. And then reduce that range of movement if you need to without working into your lower back. You're going to use the out breath as you lift. And then the in breath as you ease. So let's have a couple more here. And then we can bring the arms and the legs together. And still make sure we're using our neutral spine and our out breath with the effort. And relax. Bring your feet back in, so your feet are back to hip distance, and take your elbows a little wider. Shoulder blades again, still drawing back and down. Now again, make sure, think about where your hip bones are, and you're trying to keep the weight evenly placed into your hip bones, so you're not letting yourself rock from side to side. Now from here, keeping the back of the neck long, the lower back nice and long, we're going to breathe in. With the out breath, you're going to squeeze your right thigh, leg lifts, and then the left arm lifts as well. When you lift the arms, as we change from side to side, you want to keep your forearm parallel to the floor. Again, you might not lift as high, but sometimes what we do is we end up turning the hand forward or twisting into the shoulder. So feel the shoulders are still connected. Eye gaze down, back of the neck really long. Tailbone still drawing down to the heels. As you lift, can you still feel that your belly button's drawing away from your mats and you're not forcing your belly into the floor as you lift? Now again, you need to start small. If you're naturally going to a big movement, you're just going to use the completely wrong muscles. So it might feel like you're not doing very much, but when you do this correctly, you'll feel how much harder you have to work. Now if you want to, you can lift both arms and both legs, using the out breath with the lift, and the in breath as you ease down. You can just hover the hands off the floor at the bottom. Make sure you squeeze the front of your thighs as you lift so it keeps the legs straight. And let's have two more, whether you're doing singles or doubles. And then you can have another rest. It's only a brief one. Bring your elbows back in, squeeze them into your ribs, give yourselves a push up, and then you're going to pull your hips back into shell stretch. So the hips are gently easing towards your heels. And sometimes, if we're a little tight, we tend to come more into a ski slope position. So we want to get more stretch into the lower back. So tuck under with the bottom, you can take your knees wider and see if that helps you to get your hips back a little bit further. And then lots of breath, breathing in deeper through your nose and using your out breath just to stretch a little bit more. And then we're ready to come back into our box position and do the work on the other side. So when you're ready, you're going to bring your hands back in under your shoulders, knees back into the hips, and shoulder blades drawn back. Again, we don't want to arch back. If your back's arching here, these muscles are contracted and these are lengthened. So we need to find that balance. We need to bring some length into the lower back and draw the belly up so we've got some engagement through our core. And all you've got to do now is keep it there. Okay, let's come to the left hand and left leg, sorry, not the left hand. The left hand can stay there. Push the hands into the ground so you feel your shoulders are strong, and then your left leg slides back. It lifts, keeping the back in neutral, and back into the centre. Now use the out breath as you extend the leg back. Keep pressing the weight evenly into both hands. And just watch the head as it drops. You want to keep pushing the hands away from the floor. You want to keep drawing the belly up, so again, nice and long here, and that connection really strong here. Use the out breath as you extend and lift, and in breath as you come into the centre. Try and keep your weight even through both hands. We're going to do one more on each leg, and then we're going to stay with our left leg. We're going to try and bring our weight a little further forward. Keep pressing the hands into the ground. And then from here, we're going to take our left leg back. Left leg is straight. You're going to squeeze the leg up in line with the hip and come to that little hamstring curl. Now you might start to feel everything sinking. Push the hands into the floor. Draw the belly up towards the lower back. If you need to, bring the knee a little bit lower. Sometimes if you lift the leg high, you'll feel that your back will not be able to not arch. So again, if you're really tight in those hip flexors, just adjust your knee position and try and keep the lower back long. That's the most important part. Give me two more here. Keep the ears again up in line with the shoulders, and we're going to bring the knee in, and then you're going to push back and press the ceiling. You're trying to keep the movement through the rest of your body to a minimum. So just see how far you can move the leg without anything else moving. Use the out breath each time as you lift. Again, you can gently increase that range of movement, but not into your lower back. You're trying to keep the movement in the hip. Last two. And then again, you can get sit back onto the heels. So pull the hips right back to the heels, stretch the arms out in front, and this time press your fingers into the floor and then pull your hips back a little bit further if you can. You can let the head start to sink down between the arms. And then let's come to everybody's favourite bit, some side lying work. So let's roll onto our side when we're ready. It's because I've still got sore tummy muscles from yesterday. I don't know what we did yesterday, my tummy muscles are still sore. Okay, in our side lying position, we can have a little rest today. Ideally, you want your underneath arm extended. If that feels difficult for any reason around your shoulder, you can just simply bring it forward. And if you've got a little hand towel, you can rest your head on a towel. Now, ankles, knees and hips are in a line to begin with. Your top hip pushing away from your rib and then drawing the abdominals in. So again, you've got your square sat back here. Toes are pointed. We're going to breathe in to begin and just use the out breath to lift and then pull your toes in and lower. So again, as you're lying here, your hip will naturally want to collapse upwards towards your rib. And that almost puts the spine in a little bit of a sag in the middle. As you keep pushing your top hip away or trying to make your top leg longer, that's going to put the spine back in its nice aligned position. And then all you have to do is when you lift the leg, try and be aware your hip doesn't slide back up towards the rib. Because as the hip comes up, the bottom rib will collapse into the floor and bring that sag back into your spine. So you're seeing how far you can comfortably lift your leg while keeping the length here in your waist and just a little bit of space underneath the bottom rib at the same time. You're going to use the out breath with the lift and the in breath as you ease down. Each time you ease your foot down, pull your toes in towards your shins. So you want to feel the stretch in your calf. Still aware that you've got the space between your ribs and your hips. We're going to hold the next one with the foot just in line with your hip socket. Point your toe, you've got a pencil on your big toe, and you're going to draw circles very small around your hip while you keep everything from here and above still. Breathe in, bring the foot forward, and breathe out, take it behind. Now if you need a little less, you can bend your underneath knee so it gives you a little bit more stability. A little harder with that bottom leg straight. Then we're going to change direction, small again to begin with. And again, aware that everything's staying still. If you've got the hand on the floor, don't push into the hand and use your shoulder. Keep the shoulder back. Now we're going to change direction again. You're going to try it with your hand on your hip if you want to, you don't have to. We're going to start small and see if you're able to still keep your body still. Belly button softly drawing into the spine. Breathing in to lower the leg and out with a lift. One more circle and then you're ready to go the other way around. Start with a small circle. Make it a little bit bigger. Feel the warmth around the hip and the stability through the trunk of your body. Your last one to the top and you're going to hold here. You're going to bend the knee. Might want your hand to the ground, bring it forward and then push and point. Let's pull the toes into the shin. So again, just adding that extra movement with the foot helps to create more stability through the ankles. And the ankles have a lot of stability work to do. So again, draw the tummy in tight. Breathe in and out to push. In through your nose here and out through your mouth to extend. And if you want to work just a little bit harder, for your last 5, you can bring that straight leg forward and pull back. Breathing in and out to pull back. Trying to keep the hand as light as possible. Can't see the light fingertips from here. And once more. And then you can rest that leg down. You might want to have a little bit of a rub. If you don't, you might want to do them all again. Let's try the other way. So again, as we come into our sideline position, we relax everything down. We let the head rest, we let the shoulders come back, and we just become aware of the position we're in. Ankles, knees and hips in line with the ears and the shoulders. Gently pressing the hip away, so you're lengthening your waist, and then drawing the tummy in. Hand on the floor or on the hip. We're going to breathe in to prepare. You're going to breathe out, point and lift, and then draw your toes in and lower. What I would like you to do is start with a really, really small movement and focus more on keeping everything from the hips and above still. So you can have your hand on your hip and notice that when you lift your leg, is your hip collapsing. As you feel you're lifting your leg, get the sensation that you're trying to make the leg longer at the same time. And again, that's when you keep pulling the hip away from the rib. And you can tell when your hip collapses because your t-shirt wrinkles. So again, you almost feel like you're trying to stretch out with your t-shirts and try to avoid the wrinkly t-shirt look. Think about your tummy muscles, your belly button softly drawn back to the spine, as if you're trying to ease it away again from your t-shirt. Breathing out through the mouth with the lift. Now see if you can strengthen your bottom leg a little bit more. So you're just going to squeeze the thigh. You're going to wobble more and you're just going to work harder not to fall over. Okay, let's have one more to the top. and you're going to hold. Your pencil is back on your big toe, tummy muscles are engaged, and then start with small circles forward. Breathing in to come forward, and out, take it back. At the top, change direction, let's start small. And again, all you're focusing on is keeping the upper body still and lengthening into your toes. At the top, you're going to change direction. So work your way around the hip joint. Keep your shoulders and the neck as relaxed as possible. Tiny bit bigger if you can. Change direction last time, breathing into lower, out with the lift. I find it so hard on this side. I'm probably guessing I'm not alone right now. Hold it here. First option is to bend the knee to stretch your glutes and then push the foot back. Still keeping the movement in the ankle. So you're putting your toes into your shin, pushing through the heel, and then pointing to the toes at the top. Hand on the floor or a hand on the hip. Option, just for your last 5, is to keep that straight leg and pull back. Keep the bottom leg nice and strong. Use the out breath to pull the leg back. I'm looking forward to the stretch class next. Last one here. And then rest down. For now, have a roll onto your back. Hugging the knees. And just give them a little roll around. When you're ready, you're just going to hold on to your right knee and take your left leg away. Gently hug the knee in towards your chest, but try and relax the shoulders down to the ground. So you're opening the hip here, and you're bringing the stretch into the glutes on the opposite leg. And you're breathing. And just relaxing now. Change legs when you're ready, bring in the other knee. Hug it in as far as you comfortably can. And again, you might feel a difference on one side to the other, so adjust that position as you need to. You might want to hug the knee in a little closer. You might let the opposite foot rest on the ground. Now both knees into your chest, tuck in your chin, and roll up when you're ready. Perfect. Okay, from here, just to release the hips, you can bring the soles of your feet together and gently draw them back. Now, if you've got bad hips, you might want to just keep the feet flat on the floor and come into this position and use the elbows to press the knee out. If you're okay through the hips, you can slide your feet back as far as you comfortably can. Now, again, you might find if you're tight here, you end up with your back rounded. So adjust your feet as you need to, so you can lift your ribs right up off your hips. And then you can lean forward and press the elbows onto the thighs. Hello. And breathe. And as you breathe out, just see if you can allow yourself to hinge a little further forward. Let the chin tuck in, so you're relaxing through your neck, through your upper back. Drawing the belly button back towards the spine. And when you're ready, just gently rise. Take your right leg forward, lift both arms up, and then take a little fold forward. So your hands can either rest on your thigh, you can bring your hands down towards the floor, and then you're going to lift your chest, make your spine nice and long. Take a nice big breath in, and use the out breath to come a little further whenever you're ready. Now, don't force it, but try and gently pull your toes back, just very slightly, so you feel the stretch then comes into your calf as well. And then again, use your breath over up the spine, and use the out breath to tip a little further. And then when you're ready, just roll back into the centre, and you're going to change over legs. So it's your left leg that comes forward, and give the hip a little tug back. And then a big breath in, all the way up the arms. So you can lift your ribs. Keep the chest up and let your hands land wherever they need to. Just bring your attention to your foot. Sometimes you feel tight in certain part of your hamstrings. As you come forward, you'll feel the foot tries to turn away from the tightest position. So if you can, try and turn your foot so your toes point upwards towards the ceiling. And again, you might feel that slightly changes the stretch. And then use your breath in and out as you walk your hands forward. Relax the shoulders down and then try and gently draw your toes back. Just to feel the stretch then come into the calf at the same time. And then when you've had enough, just gently walk your hands back. And then bring your knees in onto your hips. I'm going to take a nice deep shoulder stretch with our calf stretch. So we tuck under our toes. We're going to push the weight back and then push the bottom up. Feet to hip distance. You're trying to tuck your ears in between your shoulders and almost easing your chest down towards your thighs. Take a nice big breath in, and then when you're ready, bend your knees and just step your feet forward. So they come under the hips, the knees are soft, your head is hanging to the ground and belly button lifted. When you're ready, very slowly, bend your knees, tuck under with your bottom first, and again, so you're opening the lower back here, and then you're just bringing each vertebrae up, one and the next. And as you rise up into the centre, you have a little hop and a little shake, and then you settle yourself. Then you breathe in, lift the shoulders and roll them back and down. And just a couple more. And into your last one. Really pull the shoulder blades down this time. And that's the position I expect you to stay all there. Like a little soldier. Give yourselves a clap, everyone. Thank you. Tonight's quiz is still on.